question that we discussed this morning about what can we learn from the past. Meaning, are we just in this time and place, or are we living standing on the shoulders of giants? Yes, our past is flawed because we're human beings. Yes, even our heroes are flawed because they were human beings. But that doesn't make them any less heroic. You think of a man like Jefferson, who really fought to end slavery, but he wasn't able to. And quite often, he had his ideals that he didn't always live up to. And there's this, in general, this tendency to call out in hypocrisy. And it's really misguided to try to always dismiss people as hypocrites. Because people are people. Hypocrisy is part of the human, part of being human. I remember some years ago, there was a case, I don't know, there was a governor, I think in South Carolina, I'm not sure, who was a conservative Christian, and he got caught that he was involved in an extramarital tryst overseas. It was very embarrassing. And Rush Limbaugh was talking about it. And Rush Limbaugh said something that is extremely important and fundamental. The left would want, even the classical liberal perhaps, to a certain extent, perhaps would want that we do away with having standards to live up to. And just perhaps be honest with who we are and not even try. That leads into a lot of what the left believes, which is just giving up trying. That's what a lot of things are about. But what Rush Limbaugh pointed out is that no, that's not how the world works. You have to have a standard by which to live up to. You fall short of the standard, we all fall short of our standards every now and then. It's part of life. But we fall short and we get back on the horse. We fall and we get back up. We don't just keep going and saying, it doesn't matter what you do. Meaning, to the left, who don't have the same values, they're saying, well, they're not hypocritical because there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. But for someone on the right who believes that that certain things are right and certain things are wrong, and then when they do something that they believe to be wrong, the left goes out and say, well, it's because they have hang-ups and because this, and then that's why they preach against it. And no, that's not why. It's about having a belief of what's right and what's wrong. And different people struggle with different things, especially in that area. That's just part of being human. So, but the left would rather we just embrace our animal nature forget that we have a higher soul, and say that those who aspire to live up to their higher soul but don't are somehow hypocrites. It's not really so. It's just part of the complexity of the human condition. So the same thing, putting even slavery aside, the Louisiana Purchase. Louisiana Purchase was an act that Jefferson would condemn in his ideals. But he did it. Without Congress, without anybody, without the states, he just went and unilaterally went and did the Louisiana Purchase, even though he would say the Constitution gives him no right to do so as president. But he did it. Certain things there's a time and a place for. That's also a lesson that we can learn. There's a time and a place sometimes for things that perhaps our own value systems might frown upon, but we recognize that there's a time and a place. So we can't just poo-poo the past. I mean, the same thing, Ben Franklin. He had a code of ethics that he believed in, and he admitted he didn't always live up to it his whole life, and he admitted to the indiscretions of his youth in his autobiography, but he felt that he learned from those lessons. So how do we do it? How do we find balance with these different things? It isn't easy, but that's what life's about. Life's not supposed to be easy. We're not angels. God created us, the difficulties of the human condition, for this particular reason, for us to overcome them. But that being said, we have a heritage that we can aspire to, not just holding on to everything for its own sake, but to live up to what we are, to who we are. We have a reason why we have what we have. That's what life's about. And anybody who wants to poo-poo the founding of this country, or who wants to poo-poo the Bible, who wants to, even other religions, to poo-poo them, to be honest, just look at how the condition was before these revolutions and how things have changed since then. And we come to realize and recognize that we owe a great debt to America. I read something today. It was talking about Mount McKinley that they now call Denali. And to me, it's like this. When Obama changed the name from Mount McKinley to Denali, he basically insulted our whole constitutional system. He insulted the office that he held by insulting another person who held that office. And he insulted the idea of America, like what we quoted from Bono before. America is not just a piece of land, like there are many pieces of land all over the world. America is an idea. America is an ideal. And the native peoples who lived here did not have those ideals, not universally. These ideals, I know it sounds to most people to be what's the world they call that, imperialistic. But the problem with imperialism is when it's just selfish, and there has been selfish, problematic imperialism in American history, and that the Native Americans have been victimized by America, mostly by Democrats, and they're still victimized today by America. But they would be much better off if there weren't all these treaties, if they didn't have all of the bureaucracy. But the Democrats want to keep them down. The government wants to keep them down. I don't know why, but that's the truth of the matter. I know why they did it in Andrew Jackson's time, but thankfully we've come past that. It's unfortunate. I would say that we have a Republican president who admires Jackson so much. I'm not so thrilled with that. It is a problem, but we were stuck. We didn't have any other choice because the Democrats gave us Hillary Clinton. Otherwise, it would have been good to vote third party, Anyway, but even Jackson had his good points. As bad as he was probably one of the worst. Even FDR, even Wilson had his good points. All right. Even Obama had his good points. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and be well.